even her dreams, just to keep her partner from leaving. She thought, if I love harder, if I give more, they'll stay. But they didn't, and she was left shattered, questioning her worth. Sound familiar? If you've ever felt this sting, you're not alone. Carl Jung, the legendary psychologist, revealed a life-changing truth. The love you're chasing starts with the love you give yourself. In today's video, we're diving deep into Carl Jung's wisdom to uncover how loving yourself enough transforms not just your heart, but the kind of love you attract. From practical steps to powerful insights, we'll explore 6 signs that you're ready to unlock true love. Love that doesn't hurt, but heals. Stay with us until the end, because the secret to finding the right person isn't out there, it's already within you. Let's get started. What if the love you're chasing is actually holding you back? Imagine this, Jake. A 32-year-old graphic designer thought he'd found the one. He'd spend hours crafting the perfect text, planning thoughtful dates, and reshaping his life to fit his partner's needs. He believed that if he loved deeply enough, sacrificed enough, she'd see his worth and stay. But every time, the story ended the same. She drifted away, leaving Jake with a familiar ache, whispering to himself, "Why am I never enough if this hits close to home?" You're not alone. Carl Jung, the brilliant mind behind modern psychology, taught us that love born from need isn't love at all. It's a trap disguised as affection. Let's break it down. When you love from a place of lack, you're not truly giving love. You're bargaining for it. You're seeking someone to fill a void. You haven't dared to face an emptiness rooted in self-doubt, fear of loneliness, or the belief that you're incomplete without someone else. Carl Jung called this emotional dependency, a cycle where you hand over your worth to another person, hoping they'll make you feel whole. But here's the harsh truth. No one can carry that weight for you. And the harder you try to hold on to love born from need, the faster it slips through your fingers. Think about Jake's story. Growing up, he watched his parents' marriage crumble, leaving him with an unspoken belief: if I'm not enough, people leave. So, in every relationship, he poured his energy into being the perfect partner, always available, always compromising, always saying yes. But instead of feeling loved, he felt drained. His partners sensed his neediness, that invisible pressure to validate him, and it pushed them away. Why? Because love that stems from lack isn't free. It's a transaction, a silent contract that says, I'll love you if you make me feel worthy. And that kind of love can never last. Carl Jung explained this through the lens of the unconscious mind. Deep inside, we carry wounds, moments from childhood, past heartbreaks, or societal messages that tell us we're not enough unless someone else chooses us. These wounds shape what Carl Jung called our shadow, the hidden parts of ourselves we're too afraid to face. When you haven't confronted your shadow, it controls you. It pulls you toward relationships that mirror your insecurities, repeating the same painful patterns. Ever wondered why you keep attracting the same type of person, the one who makes you feel anxious, small, or like you're always chasing their approval? That's not bad luck. That's your unconscious wound playing out over and over until you wake up and face it. Let's look at another example. Mia, a 28-year-old teacher, always fell for partners who seemed perfect at first: charming, confident, the kind of person who lit up a room. But soon, she'd find herself overanalyzing every text, waiting hours for a reply, and feeling like she was walking on eggshells to keep them happy. Each relationship left her more exhausted, more convinced she wasn't lovable. She'd ask herself, Why do I always love more? Why do I always end up hurt? The answer lies in Carl Jung's wisdom: you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. Mia's unconscious belief that she had to earn love drew her to people who triggered that same insecurity, keeping her trapped in a cycle of emotional dependency. So, what's the difference between love and dependency? True love comes from freedom, a place where you give without expecting to fill a void. Dependency, on the other hand, is love's shadow. It's when you cling to someone, not because you cherish them, but because you're afraid of the emptiness they'd leave behind. It's checking your phone obsessively, hoping their message will quiet your doubts. It's saying "I'm fine" when you're crumbling inside. It's changing who you are to fit their mold, all because you believe their love will make you enough. But here's the wake-up call. No one can make you feel enough except you. Carl Jung described this as identification with the wound. When you haven't healed the parts of yourself that feel unworthy, you seek someone to carry that pain for you. You hand them the keys to your self-worth, hoping they'll unlock the confidence you've buried. But no one can hold those keys forever. They'll stumble, they'll leave, or they'll disappoint you, not because they're cruel, but because they're human. And when they do, you're left with the same void you started with, only deeper. Here's a question to pause and reflect on. When you love, are you giving freely? Or are you seeking something in return? Be honest. Do you find yourself bending over backward to please someone? Do you feel a pang of panic when they don't respond the way you hope? If you're nodding, that's okay. It's a sign you're ready to break the cycle. Leave a comment below with a heart, or simply write, "I'm ready to change," to let us know you're on this journey. Your courage might inspire someone else, watching silently. The good news: you can shift this. Carl Jung believed that awareness is the first step to freedom. By recognizing that your need for love is rooted in lack, you can start to rewrite the story. Instead of seeking someone to fill your emptiness, you can learn to fill it yourself. This doesn't mean becoming perfect or never needing anyone. It means building a foundation of self-worth so strong that love becomes a choice, not a crutch. In the next chapter, we'll dive into how Carl Jung's concept of projection reveals why we often fall for the wrong people and how to break free from that illusion. But before we move on, here's a small challenge. Take a moment today to notice one way you seek validation from someone else. Maybe it's waiting for a text, apologizing when you don't need to, or dimming your light to make someone else comfortable. Just notice it. That awareness is the first step toward loving from a place of wholeness. Stay with us, because this journey is about to get even deeper. Have you ever fallen head over heels for someone, convinced they were the one, only to realize later they weren't who you thought they were? It's like waking up from a dream, wondering how you got it so wrong. This isn't just a random mistake. It's what Carl Jung called projection, a powerful force in the unconscious mind that shapes who we love and why. In this chapter, we'll uncover how projection works, why it traps us in the wrong relationships, and how to break free to see people for who they truly are. Get ready, because this insight might just change the way you love forever. Let's start with a story. Meet Emily, a 29-year-old writer who always fell for the same type: brooding, mysterious artists who seemed deep and soulful. She'd meet someone like Ryan, a painter with a quiet charm, and instantly feel a spark like the universe was whispering, "This is it." She'd imagine their life together, late-night talks about art, cozy coffee shop dates, a connection that felt destined. But a few months in, the cracks appeared. Ryan wasn't the poetic soul she'd imagined. He was emotionally distant, leaving her feeling ignored and unworthy. Heartbroken, Emily wondered, why do I keep choosing people who hurt me? Carl Jung would say it's not about Ryan, it's about the image Emily projected onto him. Carl Jung taught that we don't just fall in love with a person, we fall in love with an archetypal image buried deep in our unconscious. These images come from what he called the anima and animus, the inner feminine and masculine aspects of our psyche. For a woman like Emily, her animus, her unconscious ideal of a man might be shaped by childhood stories, movies, or even her father's traits. She's drawn to someone who matches this inner image, not because they're perfect, but because they awaken something unacknowledged within her. It feels like fate, but it's really the unconscious at work, projecting a fantasy onto a real person. Here's how projection works. Your unconscious holds an idealized picture of the one, maybe a protector, a dreamer, or a rebel. When you meet someone who vaguely fits that image, your mind fills in the gaps, painting them as the embodiment of your deepest desires. You don't see them clearly. You see what you want to see. For Emily, Ryan's quiet demeanor triggered her animus, making her believe he was a soulful artist who'd understand her depths. But in reality, she was in love with an idea, not the man himself. When the illusion faded, she felt betrayed not by Ryan, but by her own unconscious expectations. Carl Jung said, "The best work we can do is to withdraw the projection of our shadow onto others." The shadow, those hidden parts of ourselves we reject or ignore, plays a huge role in projection. When you haven't faced your insecurities, like Emily's fear of being unlovable, you project them onto others, seeking someone to fix those feelings. The result? You fall for people who reflect your unresolved wounds, not your true desires. This is why Emily kept choosing distant partners. They mirrored her inner belief that she wasn't worthy of being fully loved. Let's look at another example. Daniel, a 35-year-old engineer, always fell for confident, high-achieving women. He'd meet someone like Lauren, a successful lawyer, and feel an instant pull. He saw her as strong, independent, everything he thought he lacked. But soon, Lauren's confidence felt intimidating, and Daniel found himself shrinking, trying to prove he was worthy of her. When the relationship ended, he blamed her for being too cold. But the real issue was deeper. Daniel's anima, his idealized image of a woman, was shaped by his childhood need for approval from a demanding mother. He wasn't loving Lauren. He was chasing an image that triggered his old wounds. Projection isn't just about romanticizing someone. It's also about projecting your shadow. If you feel unworthy, you might be drawn to people who make you feel more unworthy, reinforcing that belief. Carl Jung called this the unconscious script, a pattern that repeats until you bring it to light. Ever noticed how the same relationship struggles keep showing up, just with different faces? That's your unconscious, pulling you toward people who reflect what you haven't healed. So, how do you break free from projection? It starts with self-awareness. Carl Jung believed that by shining a light on your unconscious, you can see people for who they are, not who you imagine them to be. Take a moment to reflect. Who do you tend to fall for? Is it the fixer-upper you think you can save? The charismatic dreamer who seems out of reach? Write down the traits that draw you in, and ask, do these reflect something I feel I lack? For Emily, it was depth and creativity. For Daniel, it was confidence. These traits weren't random. They were mirrors of their inner voids. Here's a practical step to try. Next time you feel that spark with someone, pause it. Instead of diving in head first, ask yourself, am I seeing them clearly? Or am I filling in the blanks with my own story journal about what draws you to them? Are you attracted to their kindness? Or are you hoping they'll make you feel secure? This simple act of questioning can pull you out of the projection trap, helping you see the person as they are, not as your unconscious wants them to be. Another way to break the cycle is to reclaim your projections. Carl Jung taught that the qualities you admire or despise in others often reflect parts of yourself you've ignored. If you're drawn to someone's confidence, like Daniel was, ask, how can I cultivate that confidence in myself? If you're chasing a dreamer like Emily, explore your own creativity. By integrating these qualities, you stop seeking them in others and start building a fuller version of yourself. Let's pause for a moment. If this resonates with you, drop a comment below with a star, or write, I see my projections. Your honesty might spark a breakthrough for someone else watching. The truth is, projection is universal. It's part of being human. But staying trapped in it keeps you chasing illusions, not love. As you start to withdraw your projections, something incredible happens. You begin to see people clearly. You stop falling for the idea of someone and start connecting with their real self. This doesn't mean love becomes less magical. It becomes more real. You're no longer chasing a fantasy that's doomed to disappoint. You're building connections grounded in truth. In the next chapter, we'll explore how the energy of lack, that invisible force of neediness, pushes love away, and how to shift it to attract the right person. Before we move on, here's a quick challenge. Think of one person you've fallen for in the past. What qualities drew you to them? Now ask, were those qualities about them, or about something I felt I was missing? Write it down, and let that awareness guide you toward a love that's real, not a projection. Stay with us. This journey is about to get even more transformative. Have you ever felt your heart race when someone doesn't text back? Or found yourself obsessively checking their social media, hoping for a sign they still care? That knot in your stomach, that restless need for reassurance, it's not just love. It's what Carl Jung called the energy of lack, a silent force that pushes true love away. No matter how hard you try to hold on, in this chapter, we'll uncover how this invisible energy shapes your relationships, why it drives people away, and how to shift it to attract the authentic love you deserve. Let's dive into this transformative journey with Carl Jung's wisdom to guide us. Picture this, Lisa, a 34-year-old marketing manager, thought she was in love. She'd met Tom, a charming co-worker who seemed perfect, funny, attentive, everything she'd dreamed of. But soon, Lisa found herself over-analyzing every interaction. If Tom took too long to reply, she'd spiral, wondering if he was losing interest. She'd check his Instagram stories, reread their chats, and even ask mutual friends if he'd mentioned her. The more she clung, the more distant Tom became, until he finally pulled away, leaving Lisa devastated. What did I do wrong, she asked herself. The answer lies in Carl Jung's insight. You don't attract what you want, you attract the energy you emit. Carl Jung taught that your unconscious energy, the invisible frequency of your thoughts, fears, and beliefs, shapes the people and experiences you draw into your life. When you carry an energy of lack, rooted in the fear that you're not enough, you radiate neediness. It's not something you say out loud. It's in the way you wait too eagerly for a response. Stay silent to avoid conflict, or mold yourself to fit someone else's expectations. This energy creates a subtle pressure that others can feel, even if they can't name it. It's like an invisible weight, pushing them away, because no one can sustain the role of filling your inner void. Let's break it down. The energy of lack comes from unhealed wounds, maybe a childhood where you felt unseen, a past relationship that left you questioning your worth, or a belief that you need someone else to feel complete. Carl Jung called this the unintegrated shadow. The parts of yourself you've buried because they feel too painful to face, When you haven't confronted these wounds, they manifest as neediness, a desperate craving for validation that seeps into every interaction. For Lisa, her fear of abandonment, rooted in a distant relationship with her father, made her cling to Tom, hoping he'd prove she was lovable. But that neediness became a barrier, making Tom feel trapped rather than cherished. Here's another story. Michael, a 27-year-old musician, always prided himself on being a giver in relationships. He'd go out of his way to make his partners happy, writing songs for them, planning surprises, always being the one to say, "I'm sorry" first. But deep down, Michael was terrified of being alone. Every gesture, every sacrifice was a plea. "Please don't leave me." His partners sensed this, and over time, they pulled back, feeling overwhelmed by the unspoken expectation to validate his worth. Michael didn't understand why his love wasn't enough. But Carl Jung would point to the energy of lack, a frequency of fear that repels connection, no matter how genuine your intentions. Carl Jung said, "You don't control what you're not aware of, it controls you." The energy of lack is sneaky because it hides in everyday behaviors. It's in the way you overthink a single word in a text, or feel a pang of anxiety when someone's tone shifts. It's staying in a relationship that doesn't serve you, just because you're scared of being alone. It's pretending you're fine when you're crumbling, all to keep someone close. These actions aren't love, they're cries for reassurance. And they push people away because they sense the weight of your expectations. As Carl Jung put it, where there is desire, there is bondage. When you love from a place of need, you're not free, and neither is your partner. So, how do you shift this energy? It starts with awareness. Carl Jung believed that bringing your unconscious patterns to light is the first step to transformation. Pause and ask yourself, what energy am I putting out when I love? Do you feel calm and secure? Or are you constantly seeking proof that you're enough? If you're nodding to the latter, leave a comment below with a heart or right. I'm ready to shift my energy. Your courage might inspire someone else on this journey towards self-love. Here's a practical step to start. For one day, notice when you're seeking validation. Maybe it's checking your phone too often, apologizing unnecessarily, or changing your plans to please someone. Don't judge yourself, just observe. Write it down in a journal today. I noticed I texted first because I was scared they'd forget me. This simple act of awareness begins to loosen the grip of the energy of lack, helping you see how it shapes your relationships. Next, practice letting go of control. The energy of lack thrives on the need to control outcomes, making sure someone texts, stays, or loves you back. Instead, try this. The next time you feel the urge to check in or seek reassurance, pause it, take a deep breath, and remind yourself, my worth doesn't depend on their response. Let the moment pass without acting on it. This small act of restraint builds inner peace, shifting your energy from neediness to confidence. Another powerful step is to nurture your own energy. Carl Jung emphasized that the authentic self, the version of you that's whole and free, radiates a magnetic energy that draws healthy love. Spend time doing things that make you feel alive. Whether it's painting, hiking, or reading a book that sparks your soul. For Lisa, it was rediscovering her love for yoga, which helped her feel grounded. For Michael, it was playing music for himself, not for applause. These acts aren't selfish. They're how you build a foundation of self-love that changes the energy you emit. As you shift from lack to wholeness, something incredible happens. You stop repelling love and start attracting it. People are drawn to your calm, your authenticity, your ability to love without clinging. You're no longer begging for love. You're inviting it. In the next chapter, we'll explore Carl Jung's concept of individuation, the key to becoming whole and unlocking true love that doesn't hurt but heals. Before we move on, here's a challenge today. Do one thing that makes you feel truly yourself, without needing anyone's approval. Maybe it's writing a poem, taking a walk, or simply sitting in silence. Notice how it feels to choose yourself. Share your experience in the comments with a heart or right. I'm choosing me. Stay with us. Because this journey to transformation, what if the secret to finding true love isn't about searching for the perfect person, but about becoming the most authentic version of yourself? Carl Jung called this process individuation, a transformative journey to integrate every part of who you are, your strengths, your flaws, your light, and your shadow. In this chapter, we'll explore how individuation unlocks the kind of love that doesn't hurt, but heals. A love rooted in freedom rather than need. By embracing your authentic self, you'll attract relationships that reflect your wholeness, not your wounds. Let's dive into Carl Jung's wisdom and discover how to become whole so you can love fully. Imagine Anna, a 38-year-old nurse who spent years in relationships that left her feeling empty. She'd always been the fixer, choosing partners who needed saving, hoping her love would make them whole. But each time, she ended up drained, wondering why she kept choosing people who couldn't love her back. Growing up, Anna's parents were emotionally unavailable, leaving her with a silent belief, I'm only valuable if I'm needed. This belief drove her to sacrifice her own needs, believing that love meant giving until she had nothing left. But Carl Jung would say Anna wasn't loving from her true self, she was loving from a wound. Trapped in a cycle of emotional dependency, Carl Jung described individuation as the process of becoming wholly yourself, not a version shaped by others' expectations or your unhealed pain. It's not about becoming perfect or cutting yourself off from others. It's about facing every part of who you are, the parts you love and the parts you've buried, and weaving them into a unified, authentic whole. When you haven't individuated, you seek love to fill the gaps in your identity. You look for someone to complete you, to validate you, to make you feel enough. But Carl Jung's truth is clear. No one can complete you until you complete yourself. For Anna, individuation meant facing her fear of being unneeded. She had to ask hard questions. Why do I feel worthless unless I'm saving someone? Why do I stay in relationships that dim my light? These questions led her to a painful but liberating realization. Her need to be needed was a defense mechanism, a way to avoid the loneliness she'd felt as a child. By confronting this wound, Anna began to reclaim her worth, not through others' approval, but through her own self-acceptance. This is the heart of individuation, choosing to love every part of yourself, even the parts you've been taught to hide. Let's look at another story. Mark, a 31-year-old teacher, always felt like he was performing in relationships. He'd mold himself to fit his partner's ideals, being funnier, quieter, or more ambitious because he feared that his real self wasn't enough. Growing up with a critical father, Mark learned to hide his vulnerabilities to avoid rejection, but this left him disconnected from his authentic self, always chasing love by being someone he wasn't. When his last relationship ended, he felt lost, asking, "Who am I without someone to define me?" Carl Jung would say, Mark was living through a false ego, a mask created to survive, not to thrive. Individuation requires courage to peel away that mask. It means sitting with the discomfort of your fears, loneliness, rejection, or unworthiness, and accepting them as part of your story, not your identity. For Mark, it meant rediscovering his love for writing poetry, something he'd abandoned because his father called it weak. By embracing this part of himself, Mark began to feel whole, not because someone loved him, but because he was finally loving himself. This shift changed everything. He stopped seeking partners to fill his voids and started attracting people who valued his true self. Carl Jung taught that individuation is about integrating your shadow, the hidden parts of yourself you've rejected, like insecurity, anger, or shame. When you ignore these parts, they control you, drawing you to relationships that mirror your unhealed wounds. But when you face them, you reclaim your power. Ask yourself, what part of me am I afraid to show the world? For Anna, it was her need for rest. For Mark, it was his sensitivity. By accepting these parts, they stopped seeking love to fix them and started loving from a place of wholeness. Here's a practical step to begin. Set aside 10 minutes today to journal about a belief that keeps you stuck in unhealthy love. Maybe it's I'm only lovable if I'm useful, or I have to hide my flaws to be chosen. Write it down. Then ask, where did this come from? Is it true? This act of self-reflection is the first step toward individuation, helping you uncover the wounds that shape your relationships. For Anna, journaling revealed her fear of being unneeded. For Mark, it was his fear of rejection. Naming these truths set them free. Another step is to spend time with yourself. Individuation requires solitude, not lonely isolation, but intentional time to reconnect with your authentic self. Try this. Carve out an hour this week to do something that feels true to you. Whether it's painting, meditating, or walking in nature, notice how it feels to choose yourself without needing validation. Anna found peace in gardening, a quiet act that reminded her she could nurture herself. Mark rediscovered joy in writing, which helped him feel seen without needing someone else's gaze. As you embrace individuation, you'll notice a shift. You stop loving from a place of lack and start loving from freedom. You no longer need someone to make you feel whole, because you've built that wholeness within. This is what Carl Jung meant when he said, wholeness is not achieved by cutting off a portion of one's being, but by integration of the contraries. When you love your whole self, flaws, strengths, and all, you attract true love. The kind that doesn't demand you change, but celebrates who you are. Pause and reflect. What's one part of yourself you've been afraid to embrace? Write it down, and consider how accepting it could change the way you love. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Maybe just write, I'm ready to become whole. Your honesty might inspire someone else watching quietly. In the next chapter, we'll explore practical steps to nurture self-love and break free from the cycle of dependent love. Before we move on, here's a challenge. Do one small thing today that feels authentically you, without worrying about others' opinions. Maybe it's wearing something bold, speaking your truth, or simply resting without guilt. Notice how it feels to choose yourself. This is the start of individuation, the key to unlocking true love. Stay with us, because this journey is about to get even more powerful. You've learned that true love starts with loving yourself. But how do you actually do it? Carl Jung's wisdom shows us that self-love isn't about grand gestures or empty affirmations. It's a daily practice of reconnecting with your authentic self, healing old wounds, and building a life that feels whole. In this chapter, we'll share 3 practical exercises inspired by Carl Jung's teachings to help you nurture self-love, break free from the cycle of dependent love, and attract relationships that honor who you truly are. These steps are simple but powerful, and they can transform your life if you commit to them. Let's dive into this journey of healing and transformation. Exercise 1. Journal your inner truth. The first step to loving yourself is understanding yourself, and Carl Jung believed the unconscious holds the key to your truth. Journaling is a powerful way to bring those hidden thoughts and feelings to light. Take Sarah, a 30-year-old graphic designer who always felt unlovable after a string of failed relationships. She'd bend over backward to please her partners, losing herself in the process. One day, she started journaling, writing down whatever came to mind, her fears, her doubt, even her anger. "Why do I feel like I'm never enough?" she wrote. Through this practice, Sarah uncovered a childhood memory of being ignored by her busy parents, a wound that shaped her belief that she had to earn love. By naming this pain, she began to release its grip, slowly rebuilding her sense of worth. Here's how to start. Grab a notebook and spend 10 minutes each day writing about your emotions. Don't censor yourself. Just let the words flow. Ask questions like, what am I feeling right now? What's behind this fear or sadness? If a relationship comes to mind, write about how it makes you feel seen, ignored, or anxious. The goal isn't to write something perfect. It's to listen to your inner voice. Carl Jung called this active imagination, a way to dialogue with your unconscious. Over time, you'll uncover beliefs that hold you back, like I'm only worthy if someone loves me, and begin to challenge them. This exercise builds self-love by helping you see yourself clearly, wounds and all. Exercise 2. Embrace intentional solitude. Carl Jung taught that solitude is where you meet your authentic self. But it's not about loneliness. It's about choosing to be with yourself. Consider James, a 35-year-old accountant who filled every moment with distractions, movies, social media, even dating apps, to avoid feeling alone. After another breakup, he realized he was running from himself. Inspired by Carl Jung's idea of individuation, James decided to try intentional solitude. He set aside one evening a week to turn off his phone, light a candle, and sit quietly. At first, the silence felt heavy, stirring up fears of being unlovable. But as he stayed with it, he began to hear his own thoughts, rediscovering his love for sketching, a passion he'd buried to please others. This practice helped James feel whole, not because someone chose him, but because he chose himself. Try this. Carve out 30 minutes this week for intentional solitude. No phone, no distractions, just you. Sit quietly, take a walk, or lie down and notice what comes up. If loneliness creeps in, don't run from it. Ask, what is this feeling trying to tell me? Carl Jung believed that facing these emotions is how you integrate your shadow, the parts of yourself you've pushed away. This exercise isn't about isolating yourself. It's about building a relationship with yourself. By choosing solitude, you send a powerful message to your unconscious. I am enough. Share your experience in the comments. Maybe write, he tried solitude, and it felt freeing. Your story could inspire someone else. Exercise 3. Nurture your inner world. Loving yourself means investing in the life you want to live, not the one others expect. Carl Jung emphasized that self-love grows when you nurture your passions, creativity, and well-being. Take Mia, a 27-year-old teacher who spent years trying to be the perfect partner, always agreeable, always available. She'd lost touch with what made her feel alive. One day, she decided to reclaim her inner world. She started painting again, a hobby she'd loved as a teen, but abandoned to fit in. She also began taking evening walks, savoring the quiet moments that felt like her own. These small acts, painting, walking, choosing herself, shifted her energy. Mia stopped seeking love to feel complete and started attracting people who valued her vibrant, authentic self. Here's how to do it. Pick one activity this week that makes you feel truly alive. It could be cooking a new recipe, dancing to your favorite song, or reading a book that sparks your curiosity. Schedule time for it. Just like you would for a meeting, Carl Jung saw these acts as ways to connect with your creative energy, a vital part of your psyche. Also, care for your body. Eat nourishing food. Rest well. Move in a way that feels good. These aren't just habits, they're acts of self-love that build a foundation of worth. When you invest in your inner world, you radiate a magnetic energy that draws true love, the kind that celebrates you, not completes you. These exercise journaling, embracing solitude, and nurturing your inner world are simple but profound. They work together to help you integrate your shadow, heal old wounds, and build a life that feels whole. Carl Jung's wisdom reminds us that self-love isn't a destination, it's a practice. Each step you take brings you closer to your authentic self, making you a magnet for relationships that reflect your worth. As you practice these exercises, you'll notice a shift. You'll stop chasing love to fill a void and start inviting it from a place of fullness. Pause and reflect. Which of these exercises feels most doable for you? Journaling your truth, embracing solitude, or nurturing your passions? Share your thoughts in the comments. Maybe write, "I'm starting with journaling," or "Solitude is my next step." Your commitment might encourage someone else watching quietly. In the next chapter, we'll explore the kind of love you attract when you love yourself fully, a love that's free, healing, and true. Before we move on, here's a challenge. Pick one exercise from this chapter and try it today. Maybe write a few sentences in a journal. Sit quietly for 10 minutes. Or do something that lights you up. Notice how it feels to choose yourself. This is the path to transformation, and it's how you unlock true love. Stay with us, because this journey is about to reach its peak. You've journeyed through Carl Jung's wisdom, learning how self-love unlocks true love, a love that heals, not hurts. From escaping the trap of neediness to embracing your authentic self through individuation, you now hold the tools to transform your relationships. Let's wrap this up with a story of healing. Emily, who once chased love to feel worthy, began journaling her fears and rediscovering her passion for writing. By facing her shadow, she found peace within. One day, she met someone who didn't fill a void, but amplified her light, creating a love rooted in freedom, not dependency. Carl Jung said, "If you have nothing to create, then perhaps you create yourself." That's your power, building an authentic self that attracts true love. Reflect on this. Are you ready to choose yourself? Pick one practice from this video journaling, solitude, or nurturing your passions, and commit to it this week. Share your choice in the comments. Maybe writing, "I'm starting to journal my truth." Your step could inspire someone else. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications for Jung's Psyche Hub. Our videos dive deeper into self-discovery and personal growth, guiding you toward a life that feels true. Share this with someone who needs it. And let's spread Carl Jung's wisdom together. You are enough. Take that first step today and watch how transformation unfolds.